Hello, welcome to another episode of Prophetcast. Today is May 8th. Oh, hello, welcome to another episode of Prophetcast. Today is May 18th, 2014, and we are the Thought Prophets. The Thought Prophets is a secular atheist group dedicated to the promotion of open discussion, continuous learning, skepticism, and science. Check out our website at www.thoughtprophets.com. Follow us on Twitter at Prophetcast and at Thought Prophets. Join our discussion on Facebook and Google+. I'm your host, Amanda Hayes. Joining me and co-hosting is the exotic beauty, Candice Bell. Say hello, Candice.
Exotic beauty, whatever. Thank you. Hello.
Hello. We also have tonight one of my favorite drinking buddies who isn't afraid to get white girl wasted with me, Deanna Curry. Say hi, Deanna.
Hello.
Hi.
I do not get white girl wasted all the time, by the way.
No, we don't get white girl wasted all the time. We have too many children collectively to get white girl wasted all the time. But when we do, I can count on you. We are supposed to have a special guest, Miss Isaac's mom on Twitter, but we haven't heard from her, and she said that she was really, really tired. She's on East Coast time, so it's 12:30 for her. She might have fallen asleep, and that's okay. She's a mom. We don't blame her. So if she joins, then we will welcome her. Otherwise, we will carry this baby by ourselves, the three of us.
Which is nice, actually, because I've carried 3 babies by myself, and that was not a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Did I say it was May 18th? Damn it, David. David made this on May 18th, and so that's what I was reading off of. Let me try that again. Today is May 25th, 2014, and I'll just tell you what else David wrote on this script for me. He said, and on the 4th day, he made the clitoris. On the 5th day, he lost it. Thank you, David, for that, and for fucking me up on the date. I appreciate that very much.
That's my husband. Woo!
So what's new with you guys? I'll cut over to you guys. You can tell me what's new, what's going on with you. Candice, what's up with you lately?
I was on an episode of the Imaginary Friends show with Jake Farwharton the other night. I tweeted out the link. I think I've done it a couple of times, but that was a lot of fun talking to him and Holly and Thomas, and we covered a variety of topics. So that's what's new with me.
Cool.
And I need to get a haircut.
Oh,
okay. I mean, those are really the two things.
And a real job, right? Have you heard that song? I'm hoping some viewers have heard that song.
I thought you were just making fun of me.
No,
actually.
I think it's by George Thorogood. I'm sorry, I'm dating myself. Deanna, what's new with you? What's your sitch? What's the haps? Tweet me the deets.
Well, not much.
Not much?
Yeah. I mean, hanging out with you.
Yep, that's right.
Crazy night last night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also true.
That's about it.
Are you guys hungover today? Is that what you're getting at?
Not really.
You're like, fuck.
I'm feeling better now.
Yeah, I feel way better now.
I got a nap. It was one of those times when we would have got white girl wasted had the night not been interrupted by my brother getting white boy wasted and having to go to the emergency room. So that is that. Oh well. I'm not gonna. Yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had fun. It was a barbecue.
Up until that point.
Yeah, up until that point we had fun. Then we had panic attacks.
Yeah.
So that you don't want to talk about any projects you're doing, Deanna? Nothing? Anything you're working on? She's a photographer.
Yeah, I'm getting busy with wedding season, and summer mini sessions and all that.
That's exciting.
Otherwise, not really many projects. I have a family member that's gonna have a baby any day, so I am on call 24/7.
That is
go
so
shoot that bird. Yeah.
Yes. Just get right up in that vag.
Oh yeah.
There it comes.
Right up there.
Really? That's where we're gonna go with it?
No.
Really? What are you talking about? That's where we're gonna go with it. Did you expect it to be structured and organized and like
right up in that
thought-provoking?
5 minutes into the show and we throw out the right up in that badge. That is amazing. I think that takes us to a higher class.
Well, to be fair, 3 minutes into the show, I believe we talked about him making the clitoris. So I don't think we set the bar high to begin with.
Yeah.
I think we should respect the clitoris, quite frankly. And
what did you say? What did you say? I didn't hear you.
Respect the clitoris.
Respect the clitoris. Okay.
All right.
There was a really awesome Key and Peele sketch. I don't know if you guys watched that, about performing cunnilingus, they called it. They were basically giving a seminar to a bunch of guys on how to do it. It was amazing. You should check it out. So, yeah, all you fellas out there, if you want to know how to please your woman, check that out.
Oh, jeez.
If you don't already know. We're helping you
ladies. Or lesbian ladies.
Oh,
maybe.
yeah.
You know, yeah, that was so ignorant. Yes.
Yes,
Amanda.
it was.
Ladies, if you want to know how to please your ladies also, check that skit out. Find the
I'm
clitoris.
just saying that because my sister could be watching, and she'll probably want to know the link.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Did you guys want to get into some topics here? We've got a lot of stuff we can discuss today. So
I think that we really want to cover too, as far as the, especially with that, with the hashtags. I don't know if did you write an intro for it?
I didn't. Well, sort of. Yeah. So, current events. Recently, there was a hashtag, and it's still trending worldwide on Twitter, called Yes All Women is the hashtag. And it is in response to a recent meme from men that is not all men. And essentially, anytime something terrible happens and women are victimized or brutalized or what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, terrorized by men, and they complain about it, or they put some sort of public service announcement out there saying that society needs to address this and we need to talk about the way that we're raising these men, they respond with these memes and comments saying that not all men do that and that not all men can be demonized by the actions of some of these, mentally unstable men. And recently, the hashtag has been trending because of a mass shooting in Santa Barbara, California, Friday night. It was by a 22-year-old man who essentially said he wanted to exact revenge on all of the beautiful women who had scorned him over the last 8 years, I believe it was. It was by Santa Barbara University. So I could just go on about this for the next 12 hours. I don't know if you guys have any opening comments about it, but we have a couple of articles. I've got a lot of feels about this hashtag. I don't know.
Well, why don't you start with your feels, because I know we have our strengths, Amanda, and I know that you're definitely very informed when it comes to feminist topics. And when I saw, I read through and I clicked the hashtag and I read all of these hashtags, and of course with me I just brought it back to religion, and I was like, well, we wouldn't have this shit if it wasn't taught over several hundred years. I think we would have a completely different cultural mindset. So I'm interested in your perspective, because I think we'll offer some very differing opinions here, actually.
Yeah, if that's definitely the angle that you're going for, I totally agree with you. But yeah, we should talk about that too. Like I said, I don't even know where to begin. I have a huge problem with that "not all men" meme, the whole mindset, the ideology in general, because I feel like it's a way to shirk the responsibility of talking about this. This isn't the first time that we've had issues with women being assaulted because they have rejected somebody, and not even physically assaulted. It could have been verbally assaulted, abused, essentially getting shit because they say no to a guy. And that's a huge problem, that you can't feel comfortable refusing a guy's advances without worrying that he's going to go in a shooting spree. I think this guy had a YouTube, I don't know if it's a channel or whatever, but he had times on his shows where he went on rants about seeing all these beautiful women, these beautiful blonde women walking around on campus with all these, I think he said douche bags.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, that they should be walking around with him. And that is a problem in and of itself, because it gives him some sort of sense of entitlement that, they should be walking with me. Why? Why should any woman, be walking with you? What is so special about you? If she refused your advances, obviously you're not that special. So why are you entitled to them because you don't self-identify as a douchebag? Does anybody self-identify as a douchebag? What makes you?
Well, I do.
Well, I'm talking
besides
about
you.
men, So there's a huge sense of entitlement there, thinking that they deserve some sort of beautiful woman on their arm because of their own they have
self-importance.
Right, great qualities that
Yeah.
women should recognize. And yeah, that's there. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I see so many hot, beautiful blonde girls walking with absolute, stupid, obnoxious-looking douchebags, and I just can't help but think how wrong that is. Those beautiful blonde girls should be walking with me. It makes me sick to my stomach that he thinks that. And so, okay. One of the things that I definitely want to make sure I say is this amazing quote that I've seen all around Tumblr and Twitter. And it's essentially a response to this not all men thing. And it is, you must remember, it isn't about all men are menaces to women. It's about all women have been menaced by men. And I haven't run into a woman in my life who hasn't had some sort of issue like this. And it's very broad. I don't know if you guys want to add your experiences, but mine started really, really young. Before I even got a car, I would ride public transportation to get to like the mall and stuff when I was like 14 and 15. And when I walked around, I developed very early. Just gonna say that right now. Okay. And when I walked around when me and my friend walked around, sometimes we would get guys in cars who would shout at us, would yell at us, like, "Hey baby, what's up?" Just stuff like that. And there, on more than one occasion, when I was not aggressive back, but when I was like, "Shut up, dude," or like, "Keep driving," like, they threw trash at me.
Wow.
Trash.
I've never had trash thrown at me, but
like,
I have.
maybe it was just the sheer amount of time that I was out, walking or riding the bus, because I was out a lot, trying to get out while I was young, hang with my girls at the mall, hey. But the fact that it happened more than once, and even when they weren't throwing trash at me, like, they'd be like, "Hey baby, what's up? Can I get your number?" And I'd be like, "No, dude," or I'd ignore them, be like, "Well, fuck you then, bitch." It's like, what? Are you kidding me? I was 14 years old. And when that continues to being an adult and having men, respond to you by calling you a bitch or saying you're a prude, or fuck you then, for just refusing their advances, and it goes as far as being shot at, like killed, it is a huge problem in our society.
Yeah.
I agree that it's a huge problem, but I don't dismiss the not all men hashtag. And the reason I say this is because it's a reverse, there's a reverse side to it as well. Just as much as we see situations like yours where, the catcalls and the whistles and stuff, and then being called names afterward. On the reverse side of it, we also see young boys who, when they get hurt, it's like, well, walk it off, man up, toughen up. You need to be a man and not be don't be a pussy. And it's on both sides. It's not all men. And I think that we unfairly stereotype and generalize both men and women all the time. It's not just women, and I don't think it's fair to prioritize that. I think collectively we need to address this mentality where women and men both have to be they have to meet certain standards. I think, and I catch myself doing it all the time with my kids, and I'm it's not something that I'm proud of. But with my son, he wants to be a superhero, and he wants to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. But just as much, he is already saying that his little sister Jackie is a princess, and that he's the knight, and he's going to protect her. Even though she's like, well, no, I want to be Bane, and you be Batman, and I'm going to kick your ass. Like, it's still, it's not even, like, as far as, and I've had to recognize that in my own parenting, as far as, yes, I'm trying to teach my daughter to be a strong girl, but I'm still teaching my son that she needs to be protected. So we have to look at both sides. It's not something that we can just look at feminism, or we can just look at women and say, well, we need to affect change in this way. We need to look at it as a whole.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. My only issue with that argument is that, men aren't being raped and murdered all of the time. Men, for whatever reason, men are being taught not that they don't have to be held accountable for these things, and that the responsibility is on the woman to not tempt the man, or to not make the man feel bad about himself, or whatever. And so this kid, regardless of how he was raised, he was 22 years old. He was an adult. So he was able to understand the difference between right and wrong. There's no excuse for him whatsoever, regardless of how he was raised, because you don't just go around shooting people because you have low self-esteem. There's no excuse for it. And it is I would understand. I get where you're coming from, and it starts very young that we're socializing them this way. So it's on parents, it's on society in general, and what they reward. But I think that this is important for men to recognize and address and acknowledge, because it doesn't calling a man a pussy when he or man up, telling him to man up when he gets hurt, even at a really young age, isn't doing nearly as much damage as, women getting raped or sexually assaulted or murdered or beaten or domestic violence or abused or molested. It doesn't compare whatsoever. And the whole idea with that I'm trying to say here is, with the not all men, I totally agree with you. It's not all men. It's totally not. But I want all men to recognize how often it happens, and to recognize that it's a problem, and to stop writing it off as this one time. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, well, that's just one guy. No, it's fucking not. It's a hell of a lot more than one guy. It happens far too often for us to keep saying, oh, well, that's one guy. It's time to talk about it.
Well, and I think something interesting that adds to it, too, and Deanna, if I interrupted you, I apologize.
It's fine. It's fine. Go ahead.
Well, and it comes down to simple things, as far as I saw one tweet where it was like, yes, all women, because friend-zoned should be the default position instead of sexual partner. Like, it's where this friend-zone mentality is like the bad thing. And I recognize where, somebody might be attracted to somebody, but we need to reinforce the idea that it's okay for men and women to be friends. It's not a bad thing if you're not hooking up with somebody. Like, I just think it reverberates across the board. It's not something. I'm not calling you narrow-minded. I just think that just focusing on the female aspect and just focusing on what men need to do to change this, I don't think it's going to have the effect that's really needed. I think we need to look at everything. It's a cultural mentality, and once again, I will assert that it's perpetuated by religion, because half of the things that you were stating, that I'm in this entitlement towards women as sexual partners, that women are to, basically, like, this ownership aspect, but also like the protection piece. All of that is taught throughout religion, and so it just really frustrates me when I see people be like, yeah, we need to strengthen this, feminism and this female mentality, and at the same time, it's also like, well, Eve brought, the downfall of man, and Muhammad likes to rape little girls, and whatever the fuck else. There are so many different things, and I think that religion is maybe not necessarily the root cause, but it's definitely a driving force. And I don't think that we're going to get anywhere when we continue to have these religions that people live their lives by saying differently. So we can say that, things need to be equal and we need to raise awareness, etc., because women aren't objects. But then we have, like, what is it? 80% of the U.S. population is dominated by a religion that says, no, women need to shut the fuck up and listen. So, I know.
Yeah.
I was kind of waiting for your reaction on that.
Not gonna do that. Not gonna do it. Here I am. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Religion certainly perpetuates the idea of women as lesser, lesser everything, not equal to men in any way, which is pretty disgusting considering how far we've come with science. And yeah, that's. What do you think, Deanna?
I was just thinking about, like, just different little things, like, how if we wear short skirts or anything like that, that men think they're entitled. Like, back in high school, I was at a party, and just because I was wearing a skirt and a tank top, this guy thought he could get with me. And when I said no and back the fuck off, he got pissed off and called me a whore and, all that kind of names. And I was reading through just some of the different hashtags, and there's so many different ones that are, it covers so much different, there's, like, let's see, a lot have to do with sexual abuse.
When you say hashtags, are you talking about one specific one, or what are you talking about?
Well, there was a few that I was reading.
Well, while you're finding it, I just I wanted to comment here too. Jeff Lauder actually had a really interesting comment on sort of what we were discussing. He stated, I wonder if telling boys to man up causes them to suppress their emotions, which in some cases causes them to lose their empathy, including their empathy towards women. And it's just, I think that's an interesting perspective. I think I don't know that that's the case. I've read a lot of different articles and publications on it, but I'm not a psychologist, and so as much as I have ideas about different things, I think it presents an interesting perspective, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Amanda?
I've heard things like that a lot. I'm not gonna write it off and saying like fuck you, that's just an excuse. But I just am a firm believer in adults having the ability to reason out why they're rejected and not go on a shooting spree or call names. But Jeff, I can kind of agree with that. And Candice, we were talking about before how I think of the socialization starts really early for that sort of behavior.
Mhm.
It starts as early as putting them in a baseball uniform when they get home from the hospital. You know what I mean? I mean, we socialize them into one gender really early, and each gender has certain ideologies that you have to follow if you're part of that gender. And one of those is, telling them to man up and not be a pussy. I've never said that. I have 2 boys, and I've never said that. But some
I would
people.
never dream of saying that to Rafe. Like, I mean, that's quite frankly, that's my little boy, and if he gets hurt, I'm going to probably do way more than I should, and maybe I shouldn't, like, indulge him as much. But I still see it, like, and I still see him, like, catching myself saying things like, oh, well, um, uh, just like for instance is like, well, let's go out here because but I don't know, we need to protect Jackie from monsters or whatever, and he's totally on board with that, and it's like, well, why am I saying that to begin with? And I catch myself in those types of situations, and it's like I try to I don't know, maybe I overcorrect myself too, because then it's like, well, Jackie, let's fight the monsters together. And it's a mentality that I think we as a society need to shift. It's not just women.
Right.
And part of that too, I don't know if you guys saw the link that Justin posted in the Hangout, but it's like this 40-second video where it shows there's a group that just basically they put people in different situations and then they see the reactions of people around them. And they had a situation where 2 actors, a male and a female, were in a public place, and the woman was getting like beaten up and called names and stuff by the man, and immediately within 15-20 seconds people were jumping in to help her out. However, when it was reversed, when a woman was verbally and physically assaulting a man, people laughed and did nothing.
Right.
Because he needs to man up and he needs to do something about it.
Yeah,
and
that's also really common.
Yeah.
Right.
And a huge problem. I just had a discussion yesterday with some people at our barbecue about it. We're all reading or have finished reading a book series, and in it is a situation where one of the male characters, he essentially gets raped. He gets raped. That's all there is to it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's violence is threatened, he gets starved out, and he gets raped. And there was a guy who was fighting to the death saying that he didn't get raped. He eventually got into it, and he enjoyed himself later, and it was kind of just a game to him. He was just pretending to not be into it, and essentially saying, well, if you can't put yourself in that position, if he didn't explicitly state that he thought he had been raped, then he wasn't raped, which again is a double standard. This is the problem that we have, is that if a man claims to be assaulted or abused by a woman, people just don't take it seriously. I just want to say, Jeff, thank you so much for your question and for watching the show. And he did follow up saying, for the record, I wasn't offering an excuse. And I wanted to make sure it's clear that I didn't say, necessarily that you were. But yeah, thank you.
What about you, Deanna? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree that that it is both sides are not good, but with women I feel like there is more I guess worse like outcomes than
Yeah,
it is for
definitely.
men.
Mhm.
And like some of the tweets are like when a woman makes a video, most comments are about tearing her apart and her looks, or that they would do her. And with a man, there's no comments about that type of situation.
Yeah.
And instead of just, I guess, listening to the video and what she's saying, they're just talking about appearance and wanting to get with her.
Right. Yeah.
So
Let me get through the Q&A on this portion because we spent a lot of time talking about it, and I want to get to other things as well.
okay.
Martin Pribble has a couple of comments.
I love
here.
Marty.
Thank you so
He's
much
fantastic.
for watching, Martin. We're so glad you're joining us today. First thing he says, thanks for covering this topic. I'm late to the story. Been busy. No problem. We're here for you. Answering the questions. I saw a good one along the lines of men should all read the yes all women tag. Read and don't comment. I totally agree with you. Absolutely 100%. Just observe. Check it out before you offer your opinion, and think about it before you go shouting about reverse sexism. So thank you for that. He also gave us a link to, I haven't had a chance to look at it, but it looks like a link, so we will take a look at that. Thank you, Martin. Steve. Hi, Steve. Evidently he's watching. What is the girl version of Man Up? That's a good question. Anyone?
I don't know right off the bat. I don't think that we necessarily have a version of Man Up. I know a lot of the time it's like put on your big girl panties and deal with it.
That'd probably be the closest.
But women are almost expected to have emotional overreactions. So if my son versus my daughter, if one of them gets hurt, then it's like, okay, well, Rafe, you're fine. Let's move on because you're not dying. I promise. And then with Jack, there might be a little bit more coddling or cuddling, and it's almost expected for her to freak out. And I'm not saying that I necessarily do that because I try very hard to be conscious, and I don't know that I always succeed. But I don't know that we have necessarily a version of Man Up.
Yeah, I'm not. I'd have to think about that. Great question, Steve. Thanks for that. Martin says,
oh, I love Drew's question.
Yeah, so do I. But we're going to skip it for now. No, I'm just kidding. Is it possible that the misogyny and entitlement is mainly evolutionary leftovers from more primitive times? What do you think, Candace?
I think it certainly could be, and it's funny that he brings that up because I was having a conversation with some other people earlier, wherein somebody made a joke. It was like I hit him over a brick, or with getting girls. The joke was that no, I just what did he say? I don't know, something about hitting them over the head and put them in the back of the van, and he was joking, and I was like, okay, Neanderthal. So it's a very interesting perspective. I think it definitely could. I would be really, really interested in finding out more about it because I like science, and I would much prefer actually that this is something that we evolve past rather than having to get rid of this cancer that is religion. But I think it's going to be both. Before we can really do anything about it, it's going to be both. Like we have to evolve to a point where we recognize the strengths in both men and women, and we also need to stop perpetuating these archaic ideas where the more primitive times where women are fuck, I can't think right now. Are objects to be owned. How about that?
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that I was thinking about, as far as what perpetuates that we do every single day, is like being given away at your wedding. If you think about that, you're being given away. You know? And a lot of people find that so endearing and charming that your father gets to walk you down the aisle. And I have no problem with that. But I just want to just think about what the ideal behind that is. You're being given away, meaning you were somebody's to begin with. And when you get married, you have your father's last name, and then you typically take on your husband's last name. Mm-hmm. And I find it also funny when women are like, well, I'm not going to be owned by another man. I'm going to keep my last name. Well, you have your father's last name. So technically you are still owned by another man. It's just not the new one, Like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I took Steve's last name. So obviously I don't hate men. I'm married to men. A man, not men. I'm married to a man. I love men. I know there are going to be those people out there that are like, feminazi, you hate men. But I don't. I love men. I just want to...
I would hope so, since... you have 2 boys and you're married to one, and all of that fun stuff.
I genuinely love them. I just want to bring a little bit of awareness to everyday situations. Thanks for that question, Drew. He also clarified the comment, knock them out with a stick and drag them back to the cave. Oh, yeah, that sounds romantic. Has that ever been done by any of you? Anyone ever been knocked out with a stick and dragged back to the cave, if you know what I'm saying?
Well, David...
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. Actually, I am kind of excited about that. If that's ever happened to anybody, get on the Q&A. Let us know. Okay.
Are we going to talk about Quranify Me?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Quranify Me. Hi, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
Hey.
I'm glad you're here. He's one of my new BFFs. What is the panel's thoughts on the systematic desensitization on these issues from both genders? Hard for cultural empathy to take hold when both genders are desensitized to situations. I.e., example, I saw this during my time as a sexual assault program manager. Anyone have any preliminary thoughts about that? I'd like to get a little more clarification. Maybe
if you could elaborate, that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
we'll address it.
It sounds really broad, and it sounds like a tough nut to crack right now.
But I do also, on the topic of kids, I did want to talk about going into like how we raise our children and everything. There's not just the gender identities that we promote, but also, of course, promoting critical thinking and science.
Yeah, dude, let's do that. We're all very excited about that topic. Let's do that. I don't know if you want to get us started, but we all have kids. The 3 of us have kids. They're young. Out of all of us, the oldest is 6. I've got the 6-year-old, so they're very young. But as parents, we want to promote critical thinking, skepticism, and science. No, I'm just kidding. So there are things that you can do for your kids really early on that teaches them critical thinking. Candace, I know you have some great ideas about that. Why don't you share with the class?
You're so cute. So what I've been doing with my children is, as often as possible, there's a couple of different things that we do. We picked up a science kit from Barnes & Noble that has a bunch of different ideas in it. And once I read the ideas, I was like, I don't know why I didn't think about this on my own instead of spending this much money on a kit from Barnes & Noble. And then also trying to to get them out too. So with the science experiments, I know it's something that's really fun for my kids. They're 3, 2, and 1 for anybody that isn't aware. The
Jesus
1-year-old.
Christ, Candace.
I know.
I don't know if you've mentioned it on the show before, but wow. I'm impressed. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Anyway, it's fun. But so the 1-year-old's not so scientifically minded yet. I don't know if you would expect that from a 1-year-old, but she kind of sucks at it.
Oh no, mine is already doing physics, so too bad for you.
I know. But then, but the 2-year-old and the 3-year-old, they're both very interested. So we like to, with just like baking soda and vinegar type stuff, they like to go through and we color the vinegar, and then they mix the colors, and I teach them about solutions. And I don't think I ever heard them exclaim anything as excitedly as they do when they say chemical reaction, because they're both very proud of the fact that they can both pronounce it. They pronounce hypothesis. They say it's hypophysis, which is super adorable.
So fucking cute. I'm gonna die.
I know. But neither of them really know what a hypothesis is, so they just say, they use it instead of idea. So they say, I have a hypothesis that we should color. And I'm like,
yes.
Do you know? Yes, let's do that.
Let's test that hypothesis.
But there's a lot of really great sites too. Like if you just do a Google search for science experiments for preschoolers or toddlers, I know we used just like colored water to show how how light reflects through the different colors, and they were in like these little plastic tubes, and I had them mix them, and it was just a really interesting experiment as far as teaching them about the light spectrum, and also a little bit of, toddler chemistry too. It's a lot of fun. It's getting them excited. But then we also, we like to go to the Discovery Center, and we like to go to the zoo, and getting them out and letting them do things, because, more than anything, they're toddlers, and they have an unbelievable amount of energy. And the reason that I am drinking coffee right now at 11:13 at night is because I will have to get up with them very early in the morning, and I need that constant flow of caffeine. But they need that activity. And so getting them out, letting them explore, getting them outside while we're doing those experiments is also really beneficial, and I think it helps with kinesthetic learning as well.
Totes.
So that's my monologue for the night.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up, because we talked about it before. I just started doing science experiments with my kids, and I didn't buy an expensive kit, I guess, because I'm cheap, but I did just Google science experiments, and we started with some really rudimentary, basic ones. We did the baking soda and vinegar one, and they loved that. They thought it was the shit, which is cool because, Have
you done Mentos and Coke yet?
No, I haven't done Mentos and Coke.
It's so much fun. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And then we did, where we took, it sounds really boring, but they were so into it. But I took, I have a cup of chocolate chips, and I put one in the sun and one in the shade, and we checked it after, 20 minutes. And to see how melted they were. And I don't know if you do this, Candice, but we record it. We write down what we think's going to happen.
No, we record our observations.
Right.
Yes.
What we think is going to happen.
They suck at recording their observations.
Oh, dude, I know. And they just want to do the project and then fucking move on. It's no. We need to talk about these results. We need to.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, they really like that, because then I let them eat the chocolate afterwards. So they're really going to do that one again. Science experiments are great. That's a great way to get your kid to start thinking critically. Deanna, one of the things you and I were talking about as far as other ways to promote critical thinking, I have a couple of ways for my bigger kids, but why don't you talk about some of the things we discussed, or some things that you could do, because Charlie, she's like at 16 or 17 months now.
She's 16 months, so she can't really do the science experiments yet.
Right.
She's not she's not there yet.
Yeah.
You know, maybe next year.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's different kind of toys, like the shapes, matching their, you know, correct shapes to have them fall through. And, you know, she'll get frustrated when she can't figure it out. And then when she does, she gets so excited and, you know, is clapping to herself and just so happy and proud of herself. But there's some other ones, and you can look online and find different ideas for stuff you have at home, like pipe cleaners and using a strainer and having them like poke it through and everything. And
that sounds fun.
I know. I'm like, I need to go get some pipe.
I kind of want to do
that on my list.
She likes doing that. Sometimes she likes wearing it as a hat, though. So it works both ways.
It's a great looking hat.
Yes.
I don't blame her.
And if it's got all those different colored pipe cleaners sticking out of it,
that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And you have a fashionista on your hands. That's
I do.
Fantastic.
That, and then she has to wear her boots. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Your daughter accessorizes so well.
She does. She'll even put on necklaces sometime. Anyways, and then she's recently figured out how to put her boots on herself, which, I mean, I guess that's not really, but.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, there's.
I can't do that because she's too busy doing physics, but whatever. Okay, we all have our strengths, if you know.
Well, you know, mine also is busy, like, reading. She can read, like. She can read Harry Potter.
She can read Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Are we going to have a mommy pissing contest?
Apparently.
That's awesome.
Oh, those happen every single day. One of the things that I like to do with my oldest, and I started doing it with my 3-year-old as well, and I did not make up this idea. I just want to put this out there right now. I follow this amazing woman on Twitter. Her name is Godless Mom. At Godless Mom. You should all go follow her and check out her blog. But I follow her, and she had some ideas on fostering critical thinking. And one of her ideas that I started using is making these really outlandish claims in front of your kids, right? And trying to get them to refute them and kind of weed their way through if they don't believe you. Because it's a really good way to promote critical thinking and get them to reason through arguments, and it certainly helps for them to start questioning everything and being skeptical of what people tell them, because kids obviously are really impressionable, and you want them to be able to question things when they get older. And so when my son gets off of school, I'll say, oh my God, you'll never guess what I saw in our backyard. A flippin' purple dragon came down and he lit all the trees on fire around our house, and then he made me a birthday cake, and then we had birthday cake, and I took a picture of him, but then the picture was deleted off my camera, so you won't be able to see it. But I had the best day. And I just wait. And so sometimes, I'll get a, what? And then sometimes he'll immediately go, well, I don't believe you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I saw it with my own eyes. How could you not believe me? And step by step, I make him go through and tell me specifically why he doesn't believe me, So he'll tell me, one time, he's factually inaccurate. So he said, dragons are extinct. And so I was like, well, you're half right, but okay.
Okay, fair enough. That worked.
And then I'll make him go through it, and he'll tell me, there can't be a dragon in our backyard. All of the trees are still intact. You know what I mean? Trees aren't on fire. They're not smoking. So, that's BS. And there's no remnants of birthday cake around here. And just things like that, making them go through it step by step to refute your argument. It's a really easy, free way to teach your kids critical thinking.
I really love that you do that. And I am really excited for Charlie to get older, so I can start doing that with her and see what she says.
And it helps. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you ever record some of their answers, like if they're ever, I don't know,
No.
really funny or cute? I don't know, I think that'd be kind of fun.
But I want to. Now that you said that, I feel like I should.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't even completed Rafferty's baby book. Like, there's
Oh,
no way
I
in
haven't.
hell that I will ever
No.
record, like, cute things that they say. I'm like, that's cute. I'm going to do that. I will never, ever do that. Like, I
Yeah.
just don't.
Yeah.
Baby books
Well,
are the bane of my existence. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Have you done any of them, Amanda?
No.
Yeah, I did. I did it for Danny, my first. And
Man,
that's always
of
gonna
course.
happen.
Then I'm completely slacking because I haven't done one for Charlie.
I did. I have a couple of them for Danny, and then I was like, fuck that. Turns out I hate scrapbooking. It's
Yeah.
the worst.
Yeah.
The worst. And then I feel even worse every day when I don't go on every day, but anytime I'm on Pinterest and I feel like the worst mother in the world because of some of the shit that people do for their kids. Fuck you, Pinterest. Fuck you. Yeah. Making moms feel inadequate since 2011 or whenever they fucking came out.
Probably. Yeah.
I love Pinterest. I absolutely love it.
I love it too, but I have, 5,000 things pinned that I'll maybe do 10 or so.
All of my odd compliments, I totally jack from Pinterest.
Oh, do you?
The ones that, like half of my photos on Twitter are odd compliments that I've tweeted at people, and I steal them all from Pinterest. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I don't come up with that shit.
Yeah,
I'm so not that clever.
You're not that original? What?
No.
Oh, man.
As far as the critical thinking, I just wanted to comment on the outlandish claims thing. That's awesome. I've never made Rafferty go through step by step or Jacqueline, but I'm going to because I will make outlandish claims right now, and Rafe just looks at me and he's like, "That's not funny, Mom." I thought it was hilarious. And he's like, "That's not true. That's not funny." But I haven't made him go through it, so it'll be interesting to start that process. Definitely.
Yeah, that's a good way to foster creativity in them too, if you can be creative yourself.
I really like Kyra's question, and I wanted to bring it up. She asked, what are your thoughts on the archaic idea of the cognitive differences between men and women? Boys are better at math and girls are better at language, etc. More recent studies have shown this not to be true. What have you seen in your own children?
Well,
I'll answer. I'll jump right in. As far as my kids, I've with Rafferty, I haven't seen a preference for math or language or anything. He's 3. He likes to do things, and that's where that preference comes in. But it really doesn't matter if it's more engineering type activities or if it's more. He still loves to read, and he's, I don't know, I see it as very well-rounded. With Jacqueline, I definitely see a preference for reading, and her vocabulary has developed quite a bit faster than Rafferty's has, but I don't know that that's because she's a girl. I think it's because she has somebody to talk to, whereas Rafferty didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, my oldest is 6, so it's hard for me to really gauge with any amount of accuracy your question, Kyra, but I love your question. It is such a good question. So important. My 6-year-old is all about reading. He loves reading. Yeah. He's 5 levels above everybody, the standard for
That's awesome.
Reading in kindergartners, and I try not to be an asshole and brag about my kids.
Do it, Brad.
When I do, it's usually in jest, talking about Katie and her physics. But yeah, that's something that I really am proud of. He's a boy. He's really good at reading. As far as boys are better at math and girls are better at language, girls consistently have higher test scores in school throughout everything. So I don't know. I think, again, that like you said, they're archaic, and they've pretty much been debunked at this point. I think it all depends on what you socialize your children into liking, because it's a nature versus nurture, but they're 50-50. So if your kid likes reading and you encourage him to like reading, then chances are he's going to be pretty into liking reading. But if he likes language and...
Bullshit. I totally call bullshit.
What are you talking about?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, you bitch. Oh, I was ready, too. Like, I was like,
just,
okay, let's go. Here I go. All right.
You were getting in a huff, so I had to...
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a lot about how you socialize their intrinsic abilities and interests. I don't think that any gender is better at any particular subject. Now, career-wise, you'll see a different story because obviously, we were going to talk about this, but we do not have time. It is 10:25. No. Career-wise, there are significantly more men in science, technology, engineering, and math careers, but they aren't intrinsically better than women. There's just, our society fosters valuing that in men above women, among other things. So, and I know that. Do you want to know how I know that?
How?
Because
how do you know that?
Because I'm a college graduate. Did you see behind me?
I do see
my
that.
diploma. I just put it up behind me so that you guys would take me seriously and think I'm smart.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Well, do you see my diploma behind me?
I do. From the College of Curtains. I love that college.
Me too. It is the
Beautiful.
best. Yes.
I say that because I literally just
Congratulations,
graduated.
by the way. That is awesome that you have...
Yes. You are amazing, Amanda.
I'm going to thank the Academy. And all my friends.
Don't ugly cry.
I won't. I want to get
come on, please.
for the show next week, so I will not ugly cry. Absolutely not. I forgot to select that question, but I love it, Kyra, and that honestly deserves a show all by itself. So thank you for that question.
Speaking of the next show, I did want everybody watching to know that we're going to, we are not going to be on Sunday next week. We're actually going to be on Monday at 9:30 with Dan Errol, which is going to be really exciting. I'm really excited. I've got me, Steve, and David, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be an awesome show. You guys should definitely watch that show.
It'll be
I have a massive
amazing.
Twitter crush, and not just Twitter crush. Like, I have a massive crush on Dan Errol. So
oh man,
I'm
are you
excited.
gonna make it super awkward on the show?
Probably.
Are you gonna,
like,
oh come on,
like,
don't be fangirl.
You guys remember how I fangirled?
No,
when
do not fangirl.
David McAfee was on, and I was like, it's a little bit like that.
Candice.
Except,
well, let the man breathe.
Yes.
That's all I gotta say. No. No, it'll be fun. I am excited to watch that show. From what I understand, he knows a couple people in the community. Is that true? Does he?
No.
Just a few.
It's
doesn't know
complete
anybody?
bullshit. No.
Has like 12 followers or something.
He has a fantastic neck tattoo.
Oh.
And
well, let's spend some time talking about that right now. Neck tattoos, yay or nay? What do you think? No, that's great. What are you drinking that coffee out of, Candace? What the fuck is that?
it's a mug. I recycle.
I was going to say, it looks like a mason jar.
Well, it is kind of. Like, I mean, I'll pull it up. Yeah.
Oh,
it really is.
I don't think that you need to call me out on recycling my jam jars.
No, I think it's great.
They make
I'm all
the
for
best
recycling.
coffee mugs in the world. Perfect amount of coffee, except I still need like 12 more cups.
Can you hold it up again? Did you say no? Oh, I can't see it. Okay. Hold on,
Oh my
I'm going
God,
to
it's
focus
a jam. It was a jam jar.
How did you get a jam jar with a handle on it?
I don't know why we're talking about this.
I just want to know where you got it.
It's very important.
A jam
At
jar
the
with a handle on it.
grocery store.
Wow.
Which store?
Oh, you know what?
Which
It might be a
aisle?
local.
I was gonna say
my God.
aisle. Which aisle? Where did you get it? No, that's cool. Everyone should recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
So I'm reusing. Repurposing. Damn it.
That's a great thing to do. Thank you for serving our planet. Appreciate that very much. That is why I love you. It's 10:29. I am so sad. We have to stop soon. But I won't ugly cry. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who got on the Q&A. I really appreciate that. as we wrap up, I just want to know if you guys have anything you want to plug before we go. Candice.
That episode of Imaginary Friends Show. We've got Dan coming up next week. And at some point I am going to get regular with my blog again, but I haven't posted anything recently. So
what's the link to your blog? What's the URL?
nonprofitist.blogspot.com.
All right.
Yeah.
What about you, Deanna? Anything you want to plug?
I don't have a blog. You can follow me on Twitter, I guess.
Oh, there you go. Follow her on Twitter.
Yeah, I just would like to give a shout out to my husband who took care of my daughter tonight.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yes.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Yes, you're such a sweetheart, David.
I hope you finish your test.
Was that legitimate, Candace, or were you being sarcastic?
That was so sarcastic.
Okay, because I was going to say the same thing. Shout out to David for being a father.
Yes. Well, he needs to do schoolwork too, so.
That's true. That's right. He did stop his schoolwork so that he could take care of the children, so that you could have your claim to fame, be on the show.
Yes.
So, thank you, David, for that. All right. Yeah, I will obviously plug my blog is humanistmom.com. I'm also on another show called Godless Family every Tuesday at 6 Pacific Time, 9 Eastern Time. It's a secular parenting show. Candice, you and I are actually going to be doing a segment for Coranify Me here pretty soon. You didn't plug that. But we're really excited to be on Coranify Me. We're going to be doing a segment for him.
I love Paul.
I think starting next week or maybe the week after. But
this week.
Is the show this week?
We'll talk after this.
Yeah. Anyway, look for us on Coranify Me. It is an excellent cast. It's a podcast, but it's just audio. It's not a visual, so you cannot see his amazingly beautiful face or our amazingly.
He has such a beautiful face.
He does. He's the epitome of beauty. But you will hear our beautiful voices. So check that out. What is it? Coranifyme.com, I believe. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, you guys, I don't know what the sign out is essentially, but thanks for tuning in.
Have a godless night.
You have a godless night.